Thank you, Your Worship. I'll stick to the budget. Right across the board as we move forward on budget, I am not going to support anything that's over 3% anywhere across the board as it relates to this whole exercise, because from my perspective, there's only one department that means long-term viability for this community, and that's yours. So if there's a department that I would support additional investment, would be economic development. Any other department provides different levels of services that we can adjust. But the only one that at the end of the day generates additional possibilities of revenue and tax base is yours. So I like what you've presented. I would even be open to some additional dollars being put into this department if there was a business plan to support it. I like the fact that you're working on your industrial park report and that's going to be approved soon. And when I look at where we need to go as a city, we need to find ways of enhancing our ability to generate tax-based revenues and things of that nature. And I don't know of any other department within this corporation that helps generate revenue for this corporation and for this city. So I like your budget, and if there is at some point in time a need to add to your budget, I would have no problems in supporting that. But no other department will ever get my support in anything over the 3% that Council suggested as their base for funding. Thank you, Your Worship.
Councillor Dupel, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you to Mr. Boileau or maybe Mr. Peters. Just under at 18.4, page 18.4, under resident attraction, you talk about the using a considerable amount of that $200,000 budget to do a resident attraction campaign. I'm just wondering how much of that would be put towards that campaign, and what would that campaign look like?
So the amount was $45,000, and I'll let Mr. Peters explain the program and the details.
Yeah, the resident attraction campaign was primarily aimed or targeted at young working families. In order to advance our lead forecasting for 2013, as mentioned earlier, the next level of statistics will be operating to target this patient center, and the top government is former top performance bonus. If you add those two projected workforces, you're looking at several hundred people, and not all of those people are going to be sourced locally. Even if they were sourced locally, then it's a big gap in other case. So we're looking at a job fair in probably 32nd quarter this year, and advertising out here in Eastern Ontario and Western Quebec to attract that target group of young working families to the city to look at those job opportunities. Having said that, that doesn't mean that our resident attraction efforts don't also have the side benefit of attracting other demographics, such as baby boomers who may be nearing retirement age. And I think you can talk to some developers in town, people that talk about Central Terrace, and we have opportunities, attractive opportunities for people to retire to the Cornwall. But our main target group will be those young working families with a demographic profile slightly above the national average for age. It's obviously that likely benefits for the city in terms of sustainability of many of our programs and services.
I'm just wondering, Mr. Peters, like through Mrs. Gunn's office, would it be in that campaign, would it advertise that we have childcare and 24/7, because there's one facility in Cornwall that offers 24/7 childcare, and I think that's an important part of.
We have a new resident guide that goes out with every information package that details the amenities, and not just child care, but the whole range of health care and recreational opportunities, educational opportunities as well. The Chiefs Cornwall website is really the first stopping point for them, and through that website, we hope that they engage and ask for more information.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
On the subject you're pointing to, which is, family and that sort of thing, one of the things that we've thought of is if we do, for example, do a job fair in Ottawa or Montreal, that we would probably include the school boards, that we would probably include real estate, because really what they're looking for is they seem to have found a place where they can find a job, because that's what we're doing there. What else? I need a house, I need a school for my kids, and so on. And so we would go there as a team, kind of show that you can get housing at a much more affordable school at whichever language you prefer, and so on. So.
Great, thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Murphy, followed by Councillor Clement.
Thank you very much. Through you, good presentation, and it's at 3.01%, which is pretty close to that 3%. And like Councillor Thibault said, this is the loan department that we can see direct benefit from as far as attracting money back to the city. And Mr. Ball, I'm not sure if it would go to Mr. Peters, but the amount of the budget that goes to external trade shows and external marketing campaigns where you partner with other community agencies, is that still existing? Is there an increase coming up in this year as last year, or are you holding the line and keeping a steady funding formula for that?
It's pretty consistent with what we've done in the past, so I'll let provide details on that.
Yeah, really the external trade shows that we go to are we try and target ones that have specific sectors that make most sense for us, that are identified with strategic plans, statistics that are getting commercial real estate. We've seen success in applying to these flag at those types of events. Food processing is one sector where we feel the best approach is through collaborative effort with other Eastern Ontario municipalities. And so there's a number of different events that we're doing sector.
When you're at these shows, are you attracting businesses and workers, or do you just focus on one or the other?
It ends up being both. Primarily, the shows that we go to are primarily business focused, so we're targeting the commercial investor, but it's quite usual that people come out and want to talk about their own personal needs, whether they're young students looking for career opportunities, or people looking for personal investment or a place to relocate. So we target the business investor, but we're prepared to talk to residents, potential residents.
And you've seen some direct benefit from these trade shows.
Thank you. Councillor Clement, please.
Thank you for your budget presentation, and it's good that you're coming in under target. But I'm going to pointedly disagree with Councillors Murphy and Thibault. I don't think this is the only section of our city budget that brings in revenue. I found it interesting that social services was scheduled on the same day as economic development. I think that if we are not helping the majority of our community in terms of their goals, that's going to show. And you have a hard time attracting residents if people come here and see that we are not properly dealing with poverty issues, literacy issues, and they're going to just drive right on through if we don't look like a company, like a city that's caring and that's helping each other out. So I would say the social services budget is also linked to economic development and is just as important. That being said, I have two specific comments. One around the urban settlement boundary expansion. Just a reminder as to how that's different from the business master plan. Yeah.
The business master plan is really confined to the area south and between Cornwall and Boundary Road. In fact, it's predominantly within the northwestern quadrant of that area. The urban settlement boundary is really something that tries to look beyond that. And so if you can imagine, if we are creating the potential for anywhere from 250 to 300 acres in that business plan, Cornwall Business Park Master Plan, we're probably only about 2 or 3 large projects away from not having any land. And so that urban settlement study is really something that allows us to look into the future, trying to determine not only for industrial activities, but also for commercial and residential activities, where should we grow some of those, whether it's subdivisions or a new business park.
Okay, thank you.
So that it's really geographically, we're not talking about.
Yeah, so you're looking at a 10-year, you're looking
Yeah.
10, 15 years. Okay. You said that you haven't moved the marketing part of your budget very much in the last 5 or 6 years. And just to go to Councillor Thibault's point that, if this were one budget, if there were one budget that he'd want to maybe make more investment in, it would be this one. So what would you be doing specifically with more, let's say? You say you haven't moved the budget, so what would you want to be doing if you did move that budget? What would be, 1, 2 priority there?
We often get this question of, is that amount adequate? I think you could easily double or even go to $1 million and find all kinds of good ideas. For example, as many of you know, placing an ad in a Globe and Mail or a Gazette is very, very expensive. And so some organizations who have larger budgets can do these types of things on a more frequent basis. We tend to limit how we do those things. Again, it would be nice to get some of the attention of some of the larger communities more frequently, because a lot of the larger players are in those communities or read those materials. And so we try to do things a little bit more modestly, and the website is really the way that we are able to do that. And in fact, in the marketing plan that Mr. Peters has put together, one of the items is social media. It has an amount of $0. It's a way of communicating with people without having to spend a whole lot of money. We could have put a budget together that had all kinds of advertising, was very expensive. But we're working within a budget that I think is proportionate to the city budget.
Is it proportionate to what other cities our size are spending on social media and marketing?
I would say so. I'm not sure. If you have any comments on that.
Not on specifically other communities, but other than to say that I think that this year will be a good acid test to see marketing to attract residents will require more dollars than specifically marketing to sectors such as the logistics sector. Whereas Mark mentioned success, such as investment by shoppers or Walmart, will already give us a stepping stone up so that when we're at the annual conference, people recognize the Cornwall and they want to talk to us. Whereas if you're trying to attract residents and you fill 500 positions, it requires you to reach a greater amount of population. It requires vehicles such as Mark mentioned, newspapers and costly ways of reaching those high. And so hopefully with the plan that we put together for 2013, we're going to be able to satisfy those needs through a job fair and through related advertising to support that job fair. If our success continues, then it may require an examination of how we're going about attracting people to Cornwall. And so right now I would suggest that our 2013 plan is solid. It's, as Mark said, it's modest, but it's also targeted. And
Okay, thank you.
Councilor McDonald, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for your budget, and of course, thank you for the great work you do, because you tend to be a very productive department, and it's pretty exciting to watch you work. and to see the results you get. In our first term, we approved the creation of a communications officer for the city, and I'm assuming that that position has basically been just morphed into the public information services. They would just say, like, that's where you'd find Kevin if you were to look for him here.
Yes, and yes, the I think when the position was created, it was the discussion was about a communications officer.
Yeah.
However, it was really felt more appropriate that we consider public information coordinator, because that's really, communications officer can sometimes be someone who's a spokesman for the corporation, perhaps a little bit closer to the mayor's office, CAO's office, that sort of thing. This is really the service of providing public information to the public, and that's what
And so the web work and the social media, for example, looks like it's costing us zero, but really that's probably his responsibility, is it?
But he is responsible for the corporate website, and so the Cornwall.ca website, and Bob looks after all of the ChooseCornwall.ca website.
And there's a healthy competition there.
Yeah. There, just a clarification, the website does have a cost, the social media, and both Bob and Kevin are active on the social media. I know.
Well, I like the way that your department is